Hey guys, I'm Shay, and today I'm going to be reviewing What's Left of Me by Kat Zhang. So What's Left of Me is the first book in the Hybrid Chronicles, and in this world when a person is born, it's actually two people in one body. So as they grow up, they kind of take turns like taking control of the body, and eventually one becomes dominant and one becomes recessive, and the idea is that as they get older, the recessive one gets weaker, and by the time they turn 10, the recessive soul dies. Like, they are supposed to be gone, so that there's only one soul in the body now, and that's normal. That's how a normal person's life is supposed to go. So this trilogy follows Ava and Addie, two souls in one body that didn't settle. Addie is the dominant soul, and Ava is the recessive one. And Ava was supposed to disappear when they turned 10, but for some unknown reason she didn't. And they are now teenagers, yet they're both still living in the same body. What really ended up happening was their parents took them to hospitals and had them see doctors and took medication trying basically to kill Ava. And so now they have to keep it a secret from everybody because Ava's still alive and she's not supposed to be. They are what is called a hybrid, and hybrids are like the bane of existence. They're bad. The government wants to get rid of them because they can't control them for some reason, because it's harder to control two people in one body than it is to control one person in one body. So what ends up happening, Ava and Addie get caught and brought to this mental institution that's supposed to cure them, basically that's supposed to kill Ava. And there they meet all these other kids who are hybrids. I found that it's really similar to like the Delirium trilogy, where there's something wrong with everybody until they reach a certain age and then they're cured, and the main character doesn't get cured. And so they're weird and bad and dangerous. So this book was written from Ava's point of view, which is really cool and really weird because it's almost like first person and third person, because since Ava is the recessive soul, she's not the one that's controlling anything with her body, and so it's almost like she's standing back and telling the story, but she's saying things like our body and we closed our mouth or we tied our shoe. It's just a really odd way to read it, and it took me a little bit to get used to it because it didn't read right, because usually it would be closed my mouth or tied my shoe. It was also cool how different Addie and Ava were. Addie was really like moody and timid and kind of stubborn, and then Ava was this really like determined go-getter kind of attitude, which is really weird because Addie is the dominant soul, and so it made me wonder if like character had nothing to do with it, if it was just almost like random look of the draw. You're the dominant, you're the recessive. There was some really cool character development too, and not just for Ava, even though she was the one telling the story, but for Addie. I feel like by the end of the book she had gotten pretty courageous, and I don't know, just more, I don't know, I feel like she stood up for herself more by the end. I don't know if I would classify it as like dystopian or sci-fi, because with dystopian the idea would be that at one point the world was how it is now. But if people being born with two souls is normal, then I think maybe this book is more like a sci-fi, but it still takes place in America. Like, they mention America, but they also mention these wars that happened a long time ago, and so I don't know. I don't know if it's like this new thing or if it's just supposed to be how the world works or what, but call it what you want. I find it really weird and kind of morbid that it's normal for one of the souls to die. I mean, it's basically a person dying, and if they don't die, then it's bad. Like, I don't know, I had a hard time sympathizing with the parents, because they, you know, they go through the little kid's life, or up until they're 10 or whatever, saying that they love both of them and they care about both of them, but then all of a sudden one of them isn't dying and it's bad. And I don't know, it was just weird to me. I wouldn't really understand how a parent would be okay with the fact that one of their kids is gonna die, and not only be okay with it, but like encourage it. I don't know. It was hard for me to grasp that or believe it, I guess. But I mean, how else would you be able to write it? You're gonna have a bunch of crazy, mentally unstable parents because all their children are dying, and so I don't know. By the end of the book, well, about 3/4 of the way through the book, I kind of realized that this was going to be one of those trilogies that sets up for like a revolution or like a us versus them, take down the government kind of book. And I've read a lot of those. There are a lot of those out now, like, you know, Hunger Games, the Delirium trilogy, even the Maze Runner, like a lot of, and Divergent, a lot of the big books are doing that nowadays. And so I don't know, I kind of want something different, so I don't know that I'm going to be reading the other 2 books anytime soon. I mean, it was a really good first book and I liked the idea of it, but by the time I got to the end and kind of realized what was going on, I was just like, oh, another one of those. So, I mean, I'll probably read them eventually, but just not anytime soon. I want to read other books and maybe dive into other genres of, well, YA, but subgenres of YA. It's a really easy read. It's only like 350 pages, which is usually a quick read for me, but I was distracted and I've been busy, so it's taken me a little bit longer than that. But for everybody else out there, it's a quick read. I did, however, find it pretty easy to put down and walk away from. The writing's good, but I feel like it was somewhat basic. There were some really cool parts and some really poetic parts, but for the most part it was just not something like super special. But towards the end, like as things really picked up, I got more into it and I found that I couldn't put it down, which is always good. So all in all, it was a good book, I think. Not the greatest of books, but I can see why some people would really like it and some people might not like it as much. Maybe it just wasn't quite my cup of tea, or maybe just where I'm at now. I mean, it was good, and I liked the idea, but I would probably give this book a 3-star. Alright, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a great night, and see you next time. Addie is the... oh, what's the word? So What's Left of Me is the first book in the Hybrid Chronicles by Kat Zhang. That's how you say it. Zhang. The H is silent.